Right now, I'd like to welcome George Njuguna. He's the CIO at Safaricom, and he will be delving onto matters moving fast without breaking things. An ambiguous topic, but I'm sure very important in this conversation we're having. George, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Makofi, it's okay. You can.
Good morning. I trust you're all well. Everybody had a nice evening. Nice fireside with Mr. Kahawa. Actually, Mr. Kahawa did not make it, but I'm sure he'll show up sometime. So a very interesting topic. I think maybe it derives a bit from, sometimes I say that if you don't give engineers anything to build, they'll automatically break things. So I really liked this topic. I'm not saying that our engineers break things, but just want to share experiences. I'm not selling perfection, but hopefully if we can share experiences and talk about some of the things we've learned, hopefully we can build a better and more perfect digital and IT, not just organizations, but actually country. So when I was looking at this topic, what caught me of interest is when you talk about you're building things you don't want to break, and you're moving fast, you really have to ask yourself what really is at stake. What are we talking about here? And when I look at it from our organization's perspective, just a few numbers that I always like to remind myself when we are thinking about it. We're talking about 42,000 transactions per second on the SMS platform, voice about 12,000, about 36,000 on data, 2,000 terabytes a day, and 1.5 billion transactions a month on M-Pesa. So you can just imagine what would go wrong is that we move fast and things begin to break. And at the heart of it, even beyond all of this, is actually a customer. It's somebody who's trying to send an SOS, SMS, somebody who's trying to pay, sometimes even for a medical emergency, somebody who's trying to get transportation to see their loved one who maybe just has a few days to go, somebody who's trying to buy a wedding gift for a memorable occasion. And more so even, it could be a child who's trying to get a picture with their daddy who is likely maybe even serving overseas, capturing a moment. At the heart of it, the break is not about just technology. It's really the impact that ultimately it tends to have on people. And at the heart of our conversation today, and even with my team, those are some of the things that we're always thinking about. Last year, Safaricom, our new CEO, Peter Ndegwa, launched a new vision of being a purpose-led company. But without touching on all the pillars, and I know many of you can look at this in our investor briefs, the key thing that I pick out really comes around the third line, about deepening customer engagement and experience. Peter talks a lot about being customer obsessed. He says, yes, it's okay to have great services, it's okay to have great products, but at the heart of it, what are you thinking about the customer? And it comes so high even before we talk about our transformative pillars or enablers. So what does all this mean for a CIO? I think we work in a very exciting world. Oops, somebody else has joined me. So we are really balancing what I'd call polarities. Polarities is two things that you need to handle. Let me give you one. You're being told you need to cut costs, but you need to have better stability. You're being told you need to have, you need to rationalize your resources, but at the same time you're being told you need to have the best talent. So really none of the things are bad, but you really are constantly balancing. In a real world, I always tell the team I work with that's doing Ethiopia, I'm very happy about you guys because you're building from zero. For those of us who you're in a growing concern, you're an organization that's running, these are some of the things you're dealing with. You're trying to scale and move very fast, but at the same time you need to maintain stability. There's increased complexity. If you think, we talked about moving from monolithic to microservices, and people think that that's easy. Wow. When I sit with the devs and they're telling me, George, pods are scaling and this, I'm like, wow, the monolith was a lot easier to understand than these things you're telling me about containers. And many of the times, there's limited automation in our environments. We find ourselves also, you need to be agile, a lot of releases per day. You need to give a lot of people access to systems. You're kind of devolving through the agile squads, allowing them to do a lot. But at the same time, you need to maintain stability, but the bigger S of security. Then you find barriers to adoption. These are in every organization. I'm sure even Safaricom, certainly, we're not immune to it. And I think the biggest barriers many of the times to the transformation and adoption of next generation technology is actually the mindset. Many times it's not the technology, but it's the thinking. It's how we've been ingrained, how we've been wired to work that actually stands in the way. Then, as I said, you're being asked to optimize resources, and you are really trying to figure out how do you balance costs, lowering price for customers, consumers, and at the same time offering better and better value, everybody wanting something faster and better. So we embarked on a journey about 3 years ago. We talked about DevOps and being agile, and I'll talk a bit about it, but luckily I'm here with Elizabeth and Alan, who actually live it. Elizabeth's our head of digital engineering. So the key things is we need to balance this flexibility and having stability. So what does that look like? Traditionally, we ran these big waterfall projects. Before the end of the previous financial year, you would actually step in, say these are the 30, 50, 80, 100 projects, you get your budget, you set up project teams working with vendors to do it. Now it's a lot different. Right now you talk about what is the vision and the mission you want to achieve. You say we actually want to digitize X% of our customer experiences, and you allow the team to come up with how they're going to do it. Traditionally, you'd be buying platforms and getting vendors to do this. Now people are building platforms in-house and being able to iterate and work on it in a way that drives and supports the consumers in what they're building. So these are the balances we have to do. We need to move fast, but at the same time, as we're moving fast, we actually need to make sure that what could break actually does not break because of what it would mean. So what does that look like there's still tool sets that are extremely important. We spoke about the practices. But really, you need to deploy fast. And one of the things we've learned in doing this is gone are the days where every deployment is a situation where you get in, you have 100 engineers, you're having guys changing code, changing parameters. The fact is, and any of you who've been devs, some things just don't work. If you're having a guy on the night of the change, is actually going there and is supposed to have changed some parameter, maybe to a 0 or 1. Okay, let me talk in real language, yes or no, for devs. And he just forgets a 0 and a 1. You can imagine what happens. I'll give you a case we were similar to this. We were about to do a very big launch, and I won't mention it, what it is. And we had a situation where somebody forgot to just tick one parameter. The next thing I'm seeing trending is that there's a heist going on. Genuine mistake. The guy has done this very many times. Had to figure out how we're going to close that gap and claw back billions of resources. Because naturally, when people hear there is free data, everybody finds the news reaches them long before it even reaches some of us. And so we're really trying to remove the possibility of such issues happening by actually looking how we can automate deployments. And we've been able to be very successful in that. How can you then be able to roll back without having to go through an entire project to be able to do it? How do we get to do experiments? On the M-Pesa side, we're working on what we're calling canary deployments, where you do blue-green. You actually can deploy a release to a subset of customers or a certain region. They get to test it, work on it. If you like it, you deploy it to everyone else. If you don't like it, you roll it back. Many customers have been complaining also about the downtimes that we have when we do large M-Pesa upgrades. I'm happy to tell you this last one was the last long downtime that we'll have on M-Pesa. By adoption of the new technologies, our future deployments, even upgrades on M-Pesa, will require less than 15 minutes downtime from the 4 to 10 hours that it's been taking. We just can't afford to continue having our customers have a very long downtime because we are doing changes. And then really being able to put what I call AI ops. when you run such a big operation, thousands of servers, 800 people in IT, lots of moving parts, again, calling 30 engineers onto a call to figure out why transactions are failing. You have your USSD team, your what we call our SMSC team, TIPCO integration teams, and you get on these calls and sometimes you can lose your mind and you're having a leadership call. We're really moving to AI ops. How can the system be actually able to tell us exactly where the problem is, and not just tell us so we can fix it, but actually be able to fix and auto-heal. And that's the direction I believe that we're headed in terms of technology. Now, how does all this come together? I think there's two big things. So at Safaricom, we say, I am Safaricom, and I'm notoriously customer obsessed. So on one side, you're dealing customer obsession, and another side, you're dealing innovation. One may say that these are polarities, but in actual sense, I believe they all come together because you're innovating for the customer. But at the same time, you can't innovate and end up breaking things and say that you're customer obsessed. So how do you look at balancing it? I think it's always realizing that we don't do technology just for the sake of technology or products for the sake of it. May have tons of marketing and product people. Are we actually doing things that are actually impacting the customer and are for the good of the customer, and really being able to hear back from the customer, having the customer in the center of the room in what we're building. And so I'll just invite Liz to talk a bit about the tool chains that she does. So what we have, our digital engineering team, is really powering Agile. They not only help to bring in the developers, and I think in the last X months, about 300 new developers have joined Safaricom, but also what they do is they build the tools, the pipelines, that enable all these squads to be able to work without always coming back to central, and being able to continuously learn, iterate, and improve on what they're doing by also looking at Agile metrics. So I'll just have Liz give us a brief on what she does, and then Alan will come in and give another example, and then I'll close.
Thank you, George. So I'll just pick up from where George left. And I think for us, everything that we do is driven on what the customer is saying. Looking at the current trends, customers more and more know what they want. So when we are building our solutions, we are looking at what is the feedback we're getting from our customers, what insights we are able to derive from the data on the transactions that these customers are doing, and then we iterate this through an innovating and an experimentation spree to just be able to see if we can work from an MVP and give the customer what they want continuously. So what we have done is, for us, we've built an engineering culture. We are coming more from 3 years ago, relying a lot on partners to build software for us. But now going forward, we are saying we want to shift from buying to building ourselves. And so what we did, number one, was just to build an engineering culture. And we look at it from the point of just looking from the people, the process, and the platforms that help us really accelerate our speed of delivery, but also in terms of ensuring that we deliver quality, and this quality is delivered really fast to our customers. So we looked at some modern technologies that we are using, and specifically leveraging on open source quite a lot. Since as you experiment, really open source helps you in terms of reduction for the cost, but also allows you to try a lot more tools at no cost and invest as and when you start getting value out of it. We adopted DevOps as a way of working, where we have really small cross-functional teams that are working on an agile way of working. We adopted the Spotify tribe, squad, and chapter model, which is really helping us have small teams focus on a customer problem, iterate with the customer at the center through getting feedback, incorporating it, and working to build a solution for our customers. And just to move next in terms of DevOps, we adopted the DevOps way of working. This is where you have the team, both developers and operations working together. They build and run the solution. So you start thinking about operations from the time of ideation. As you build your solution, you're making sure that you're putting everything that you need to put in to ensure that this software is going to run really well on production. And we also looked at the tool chain itself. This is the continuous integration, continuous delivery tools. Again, I said we leverage a lot on open source. However, there's enterprise tools that we've bought, yes, but as we try and experiment these, we really try to make sure that we can leverage on open source. I'll move to It's not working. Sorry about that. So what we are doing is, at the moment, we have over 500 developers that are working on software for Safaricom. This is the consumer software, but also software for enterprise that Alan is going to be speaking about. And with these 500 developers working in about over 50 squads, there can be a lot of chaos in terms of people building continuously and deploying to production. Just spoke about the core systems that we have to really safeguard. And so when we are looking at this as well, we are looking at ensuring that besides us delivering really fast, we're also ensuring that our customers are kept secure, but also the quality of the software that we're delivering is top of class, and on top of that, that we don't break what is already existing. So at the moment, we are having over 400 releases per month, and that's quite a number, looking at the core systems that we have that really need to be safeguarded. And looking at these developers, so then we adopted DevOps as a way of working. And we looked at a couple of things as well. For the platforms that we are using, we leveraged on specifically public cloud. And at the moment, we are deploying quite a bit of 78% of our digital channels are running on AWS public cloud. And this has really helped us in terms of being able to take away the cares and worries of the infrastructure from the developers and allow our developers to just focus on their core job, which is software development. We looked again a lot in terms of how do we secure our releases, and as part of our continuous integration, continuous delivery, we ensure that we can automatically scan and automatically test our software to just make sure that we take away the problem of all this testing, reduce the time it takes from the time software is built to the packaging of the software and delivery of this software to production. Part of our key enablers has been really the transitioning from the monolithic deliveries or deployments to more of microservices delivery. And this allows for us, for the small teams to be able to work together, working on small features of the software, and allow these teams to be able to iterate really fast and be able to separate the concerns from the different features from each other and allow different teams to be able to work and collaborate together. But this really needed quite a lot of work and thought in terms of how do these developers really work together? How do we collaborate? You have 20, 30 people working together on the same project. And this requires investment in terms of the software, and also how do we just making sure that all these people that have been building this software can be able to continuously integrate, and this is a process for DevOps that has really been helpful for us. We looked at the tool chain that has really helped us. That is a continuous delivery tooling that allows these developers to work together, collaborate, every day through the collaboration tools, but on top of that, making sure that all this code that they are creating can be batched every day automatically, and a lot of that ensuring that the shipping and the packaging and the shipping of this software is fully automated. We've really leveraged a lot on automated deliveries as well. This has helped us in terms of removing the errors that we used to have from our configurations. When our devs used to do the work at night, sometimes we could make errors, and the automation has been helpful in terms of reducing these human errors. Another key thing for us has been a lot about also automating the infrastructure provisioning. This is something that we've done recently. Previously, we had the application delivery automated, and recently we've looked at tools, specifically because we were leveraging on AWS, and the APIs that AWS provides us allows us to be able to automate that whole process of provisioning infrastructure. And currently we've automated the whole flow from the time of building the code to the time the code is shipped into production. Another key thing for us that George had spoken about is about observability. Because then again, we have to be able to know what is happening on our software, our solutions before our customers complain. And we've leveraged a lot of tools that are there in the industry, from Elasticsearch, Kibana, Dynatrace, that is our key one at the moment that we're implementing. That way we're able to pick issues or performance issues in our systems before our customers can be able to pick that. We're looking at our desired outlook and where we want to be. I said we are really big on talent because we realize at the end of the day, we are saying we have to build. People are the ones to build this software, and we need to really build a strong software engineering talent at the moment. And we're looking at making sure that everyone who is joining IT at the moment is actually a software engineer from a start. But we also have a lot of activities that we are doing in terms of building the talent, reskilling it, and upskilling the talent. The other thing is, I said we adopted the Spotify Tribe Squad and chapter model. And this means that you have very small cross-functional teams that work together every day on a specific customer solution. And we're looking at getting ourselves to 80% of our staff to actually be morphed up into the tribes and 20% only to work in the COEs. And for the COEs, it's basically managing the shareable infrastructure, the shareable systems, to allow for stability as well for these and maintenance of these core systems. Key thing for us is, I said we are big on cloud, and we've made sure that all the applications that we are building are fully cloud native, and this means they can run on any cloud. So we are cloud agnostic. You can run on-prem, on AWS, on Azure, whatever cloud platform that is there. And then 80% of our software needs to be built by us. Of course, we are leveraging an insourcing model where we have partners that work with us to build this software, but as much as possible, maintain the IP with us. And one of the key benefits that we've seen is previously when we really working with the vendors, and especially where the IP is not ours, you don't have the code, you can't automate the deployments, you don't have control over that code as well. And looking at the moment, customers every day want a change or want something new. So in terms of our ability to scale, this was really constraining for us. And so for us building the software, then we can change it as and when the customer needs it. Some technical help. How did it work? Okay. So we'll give two use cases of how DevOps has been really helpful for us at Safaricom, and we'll speak about the My Safaricom app. I really hope we all have it on our phones. And this was one of our first channels that we decided for sure we needed to build it ourselves and have full control of that app. And so far, we adopted fully everything that I've spoken about, the software engineering practices. It's fully inbuilt by the Agile squads. And so far, we've seen great improvements in terms of the stability measures and the availability measures. This is one of the top, actually it is the top app at the moment in Kenya, if you look at the stats. And we've so far had 5.8 million downloads. It's an app that we've really built incorporating customer feedback, looking at what the customers really wanted, and we keep to continue to iterate. We're not really 100% there, but then every day that we're getting feedback from these customers, we are taking it and trying to just making it better. At the moment, we have a 4.8 rating for Apple, and I can tell you this is really a world-class score and something that we are really proud of. Looking at the scores that we had on the previous app that we had, which we'd really leveraged a vendor to build it for us. And in terms of the releases as well, this is an app that is fully on cloud, fully automated, full DevOps chain. It has full automated deployments, automated cloud provisioning. It's on AWS. We're able to scale up and down depending on the traffic that we are receiving from our customers. And I would say again, in terms of our availability, it has been one of the apps really not problematic. It's been really always available for our customers. And we've seen very good, in terms of the crash rates, 98% is really good. It's a really good metric considering the kind of phones that we have in this part of the market. So in terms of our success, I would say it's fully powered by DevOps, fully inbuilt again, and it's everything fully automated, and it's something that we will continuously build and continuously iterate on it. Alan?
Yeah, thank you, Miss. I just for enterprise customers, we've also looked at how we can be able to accelerate, because most businesses would be interested in the speed, the control, in terms of controlling the journey, and also the experience that they are going to get out of a platform. So what we've done is, of course, the last 19 months or so has been quite difficult for every business as well as a customer, but we had to change our approach in terms of how we get and build a talent that can be able to move in quickly, work from everywhere in the world, and being able to use collaboration tools and be able to develop much faster. How did we do this? We leveraged on development tools that we have across, the way of working being Agile framework, and then use the tools to enable at least all our developers across the globe. We have about 5 countries where all these virtual distributed teams are working together. and they were able to build a platform within a short time of about 9 weeks. We managed to deploy the first release in the month of October. Now, what does this mean to businesses? If we use DevSecOps as a practice, the best global practices, we're able to at least turn around March releases in a shorter time and be able to build solutions that can be able to empower customers, not only to have control over their journeys, but also to be able to at least manage the customer that they are serving. So our ambition is to at least give micro and SMEs at least a self-service journey that can be able to enable them to order, discover our products, and be able to at least have a way of interacting with us for the support services. Now, DevSecOps has been quite important for us. I know time has gone, but I would be handing over to John just to summarize. But it has been helpful to us in terms of at least bringing these teams together to work and use open source technologies and be able to move a bit faster in terms of delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, team. I know we've taken a bit of time. I think the one thing I'd like to leave you with is this. The customer is more important than technology. Many times, sometimes we put technology ahead of the customer. Sometimes we operate like you must go live no matter what. Our mantra now is we are moving from feature-based KPIs to customer-based KPIs. Moving from going live no matter what to going live with quality no matter what. I hope you enjoyed our DevSecOps talk and Agile. Looking forward to interacting with you.